So now we will cover the topic of acceptance testing. The main thing to know before the acceptance testing, that acceptance testing is somehow similar to the system testing, but difference, like you can say, in the goals or objectives, or you can say the purpose, which differentiate the system testing from the acceptance testing. Like acceptance testing is normally performed in front of the customer or the stakeholders. Like it's a formal testing with respect to the, like, what user needs, what the requirement the user has provided to you, and the business or the business requirement or the business process conducted to determine whether or not a system satisfy the acceptance criteria or not. Like based on this testing, the customer decides that either he is going to accept your product or not. And then this will also enable the user or your customer, like he will then authorize that this is fine and I am going to accept. The main focus on the acceptance testing, you can say, is the gaining of the user approval, and then sometime it also like focus on the compliance with the regularity requirements, and there are some tests which are required to verify that the products meet the particular requirements or the regularity requirements from the customer. Now we will read in detail. Acceptance testing, like system testing, typically focuses on the behavior and the capabilities of a whole system or product. Like it's the next step of system testing. Anyhow, it's same as system testing, but only the objectives are different. Objectives of acceptance testing include establishing confidence in the quality of the system as a whole, validating that the system is completed and will work as expected, verifying that the function and non-functional behavior of system are as specified. Everything you verify in front of the customer. Acceptance testing may produce information to assess the system readiness for deployment and use by the customer and user. Like based on the acceptance testing, that you decide your system is ready for the deployment or is ready to deploy in the production environment. Defect may be found during acceptance testing, but finding defect is often not an objective, and finding a significant number of defects during acceptance testing may in some cases be considered as a major project risk. Like to find the defects could be an objective in the component testing, it is in integration testing, it is even in system testing, it is, but in acceptance testing it is not one of the main objectives, because during acceptance testing in front of the customer or the user, if you came across some defects, then maybe it's a critical project risk, he will not accept your project. Acceptance testing may also satisfy legal or regularity requirements or standards. Like there are actually some kind of there are some types of acceptance testing. I would explain it like this. Regularity requirement means, for example, you are developing an app or some product in a country where there are some specific rules and regulations. Then you need to fulfill those regulations. You need to fulfill those requirements, or like a regularity process, you have to follow them. So common forms of acceptance testing include, the first one is, we will discuss them in detail right now: user acceptance testing, operational acceptance testing, contractual and regularity acceptance testing, alpha and beta testing. Each of them is described in the following subsections. The first of all is user acceptance testing, UAT, the testing from the user end, user acceptance testing. So in the user acceptance testing, actually user acceptance testing of the system is typically focused on validating the fitness for use of the system by intended users in a real or simulated operational environment. Like user acceptance testing is done, like we keep in mind the end user and the operation environment as well. The main objective is building confidence that the user can use the system to meet their needs, fulfill the requirements, and perform business process with minimum difficulty, cost, and risk. So you simply user accepts the product. You say, yeah, it's fine, it's working properly. He will check the requirements, and then he will say, okay, that's great, I will accept the product. So it is a user acceptance testing. Then the next one come operational acceptance testing. So what is basically the difference between the user acceptance testing and the operational acceptance testing? I will give you an example like this. User acceptance testing is for a common user, and as operational sorry, operational acceptance testing is for those who, you can say, who need more in-depth knowledge or more rights of a particular product. For example, I will give you an example of a corporate culture of a company where there are some common users and then there are some admins. Excuse me. That means sometimes admins need to control the whole system, so they need some extra authorities other than the normal user, you can say. Like, what could be that? Actually, like in the operation acceptance testing, maybe they need some system approvals, they need some system admin rights, some operative rights. So that is called operational acceptance testing. Sorry again. The acceptance testing of the system by operation or system administration staff is usually performed in a simulated production environment. Like, operational acceptance testing is somehow different as compared to user acceptance testing. Why? Because it is performed like by the system administration staff, because as I told you, it is a higher level than user acceptance testing. So it is mainly the test focus on the operational aspects and may include testing of a backup and restore. You see, all of these activities belong to a particular admin, like installing and upgrading, disaster recovery, user management, maintenance tasks. So just you can think that operational acceptance testing is an upper level of user acceptance testing, in which you test some other rights or some other privileges or some other access of the system administrator to the system. So with in the type of acceptance testing, as we have discussed, there are four. So user acceptance testing is already done and operational acceptance testing is done. Now still there are some more points. Data load and migration tasks also part of operational acceptance testing. Then check for security vulnerabilities, then performance testing. The main objective of operational testing is building confidence that the operator or system administrator can keep the system working properly for the users in the operation environment. It is the duty of system administrator, it is the duty of the operator that this particular system should remain working in some particular situations. So that is called operational acceptance testing, that whenever he deletes some file, upgrade the system, so it should be replicated, the whole system should be upgraded. So these are some particular system privileges, system rights that are obtained by system administrators even under exceptional or difficult conditions. The next type of testing actually is contractual regularity acceptance testing. As I told you, that in some countries or like wherever you are developing your system or your project, your product, whatsoever you are testing it, there are some regularities, there are some contracts that you have to test your product for these criterias that must be fulfilled. Either it is being paid by the customer or not. For example, in automotive industry, you are testing for this for the safety in, you can say, in some mobile apps, login apps, or you can say your purchase apps. You are validating some customer data. It's a kind of like regularity acceptance testing. So contractual acceptance testing is performed against the contract acceptance criteria for producing a custom developed software. Like, it was already some contractual base that you will do this kind of testing. Acceptance criteria should be defined when the parties agree to contract. Contractual acceptance testing is often performed by user or independent tester. So it's a kind of, as the name suggests, it's a contractual acceptance testing, that during contract you specify that this will be the criteria during acceptance, that like the testing is a part of contract. Then regularity acceptance testing is performed against any regulations that must be adhered to, such as government, legal or safety regulations. Like, if there are some standards being followed in that particular country, some energy standards, some automotive standards, some business standards, so you need to be sure that you are fulfilling those standards. Regularity acceptance testing is often performed by users or by independent testers, sometimes with the result being witnessed or audited by regulatory agencies. So there could be some reason that, for example, if you are developing a system which is like electronic based system and there are some voltage regulations, that then it is a kind of regularity acceptance testing. The main objective of contractual and regularity acceptance testing is building confidence that contractual or regularity compliance has been achieved. So it is the main objective. Now the fourth and last part of acceptance testing is alpha and beta testing. So what exactly alpha and beta testing are? Maybe many of you are aware with this term alpha and beta testing. um, like those who are familiar with some gaming systems or with some using some other OSs operating system, they know that sometime Microsoft and even some companies release their beta versions before the final release. And then what is the difference between the alpha system and the beta system? So that could be the main thing. Actually, I will give you a short introduction that alpha testing is normally performed at the premises of the company. So before, like we you can say it is performed inside the company before being delivered to the customer. It's like this: we bring some third party or we bring some customers in the company, and we provide them some steps, and then they perform the testing in the company premises. What is the beta testing then? After alpha testing, we release our product with not all the features but the limited features to the limited customers, and then they test this product or software at their own locations. Like alpha testing is within the company premises, and the beta testing after alpha we make it, you can say, somehow public and provide it to the more customers. And then there is a beta testing in which they test at their own places the customer, like, and then they give you the feedback what are the problems in the beta version. It's like this. So now we will read in detail. Alpha and beta testing are typically used by developer of the commercial of the shell code software who want to get feedback from the potential or existing user, customer or operator before the software product is put on the market. Like, this is a very common term, COTS, commercial of the shell software. Like, normally these are some ready-made softwares which are already ready, and sometimes we integrate them with our main product only to make the thing easier. So these are like these codes normally are being tested in the form of alpha and beta. Alpha testing is performed at the developing organization side, not by the development team but by the potential or existing customer and or operator or an independent test team. Like alpha testing, as I told you, is performed in the premises of the company, but not by the developer him or herself, actually by the operators or independent testing team or some potential or existing customer. Beta testing is performed by the potential or existing customer and or operations at their own locations. Beta testing may come after alpha testing or may occur without any preceding alpha testing having occurred. Like, there are some exceptions. It is not necessary that you have to perform alpha testing first and then beta. You can simply make the beta version somehow public with some features and then get the feedback from the customer that how they feel about the app. Are there some crashes or are there some problems with the version? One objective of alpha and beta testing is building confidence among potential or existing customers and operator that they can use the system under normal everyday condition and in the operational environment to achieve their objective with minimum difficulty, cost and risk. Another objective may be the detection of defects related to the condition and environment in which the system will be used, especially when those conditions and environment are difficult to replicate by the development team. So they are telling that, for example, for the beta version, sometimes we have developed system in our own premises and now we want to test it that if it is deployed in at customer location and during for different temperatures, different environmental behaviors, different conditions, how will it behave. So in that case, the beta testing could be very critical. How? It will tell you that for the different customer behaviors, for the different test cases, for the different environmental conditions, how your product will behave. Then you will get some more confidence. Oh, if if this software is deployed in this particular environment, it could be tricky, it can come out with some problems, but in this environment it's fine. Then you can build confidence on your product, and then you will be very confident that we can release the final version, which is after the beta version. So now we will see the test bases, like what are the test bases for the acceptance testing. We have covered the main four types of acceptance testing that we have seen already. There could be four types which we have discussed: user acceptance testing, operational acceptance testing, then contractual and regularity, then alpha and beta testing. So now we for the journal, these were four types of acceptance testing. Now we will see what are the bases of acceptance testing. Like example of work product that can be used as a test basis for any form of acceptance testing include business process, user or business requirement, regulation, legal contracts and standards, use cases, like we have used the same word in the system testing, user stories, system requirement, system or user documentation, installation procedure, risk analysis report. Like the test bases are anyhow 90% same as the system testing. But sometime in acceptance testing we need to fulfill the regulations and the legal contract, so it is an extra part as compared to the acceptance testing. In addition, as a test basis for driving test cases, for operational acceptance testing, one or more of the following one product can be used, like backup and as I told you, for operational acceptance testing sometime you need some extra privileges, sometime you need some extra administrative parts, like backup and restore procedures, disaster recovery procedure, non-functional requirements. Like we will discuss in more detail about the non-functional requirements, like what non-functional requirements we have. This term is coming again and again in our mind, that how many non-functional requirements we have and like what are the non-functional requirements. This we will see in more detail, but like here I will tell you, like normally as per the standard documentation there are basically, you can say, mainly 6 to 7 non-functional requirement. The like usability, then you can say performance, then there is non-functionality or non-functional requirement which is efficiency, then security is also one of the non-functional requirements, then compatibility also comes under it. Like those which are the functional requirement are simple requirement what your system should do, but above that there are some non-functional requirements that my system should be usable, my system, you can say, should be reliable. So reliability is also one of the non-functional requirement. And then sometime portability, you can say, efficiency, security, compatibility, all of these in which the answer is not exactly yes or no. These are normally non-functional requirements, but simply note down these 6 terms, remember them. These are the main non-functional requirements which are also specified in the ISO document, so quality documents. And like normally the non-functional testing shows how the system perform its functionality. Like if the system is I have also told you that there is another portability. So like it will tell, you cannot see that my system is usable exactly. For example, for some it's usable, for some customer it's not. And you can say my system is secure, but you are not 100% sure that your system is secure. So the answer for the functionalities, if it is not in yes or no, then these are the non-functional requirements. But non-functional requirements, just I have noted down here, you can I have written down here, you can note them down, and these are the main non-functional requirements. So then operational documents, in case of operational acceptance testing, deployment and installation instructions, performance target, database packages, security standard regulations, these all are the test bases for the operational acceptance testing. Now we will come, what are the typical test objects, why actually we are testing our system, what are our objects to test the system. So the typical test objects for the acceptance testing are system under test. Obviously the system which we are testing is our object. System configuration data, we are very keen about how the system is configured, how the data is being treated. Business processes for a fully integrated system, recovery system and host sites, operation and maintenance processes, forms, report, existing and converted production data. So everything which is related to the system performance comes under the test object for the acceptance testing. And what are the typical defects, what are the typical failures that normally we have during the acceptance testing. So example of typical defect for any form of acceptance testing include system workflow do not meet business or user requirement. Like user say this was my requirement, and in front of him that requirement is not fulfilled, that he will say, oh, it's a defect, it's not fulfilling my requirement. So it could be one of the defect or failure during acceptance testing. Then even business rules are not implemented correctly, system does not satisfy contractual or regularity requirement, it is not fulfilling the regulations. Non-functional failures such as security vulnerabilities, inadequate performance efficiency under high loads, or improper operation on a supported platform. Like these things, like for example, you say my system is portable, and it's a non-functional requirement. Your system is working properly on Windows, but when you shift your system to, you can say, to the Linux or some Macintosh, and it is not working properly, then your system is not portable. So that means it's not compatible, you can say. Sorry, its compatibility is not good with the other operating systems. And in case of portable, you can say you can take your system along with you, the whole system at some other location, is it portable? So these are the non-functional requirements which can also cause a typical defect and failure during the acceptance testing. Now we will see specific approaches and responsibilities while performing the acceptance testing. Acceptance testing is often the responsibility of the customer, business user, product owner, or operator of a system, and the other stakeholder may be involved as well. So as I told you, the term suggests acceptance testing mean during this testing the customer should be there, or the business user, product owner, they should be there, and testing should be performed in front of them, and it is their responsibility. Acceptance testing is often thought of as the last level in sequential development lifecycle, but it may also occur at other times. For example, acceptance testing of a core software product may occur when it is installed or integrated. As I told you, like for example, you have developed your system, and then you purchase your own, like you can say it's a kind of I would say ready-made, some third-party product, some third-party tool to integrate with your system, which is, they have mentioned here, costs commercial of the shelf. So at that time you also need to build your confidence and tell the customer that we have integrated this third-party app or this ready-made software with your product. So this could also be a reason for acceptance testing. Then acceptance testing of a new function enhancement may occur before system testing. Like this could be two reasons. Like you have a new function enhancement, and then you tell the customer that this new feature or new function has been added. So maybe you need to get an acceptance from him. So this could also be a reason of acceptance testing. In iterative, it is they have told about the sequential development. What happens in iterative, or you can say incremental model, project teams can employ various forms of acceptance testings during and at the end of each iteration, such as those focus on verifying a new feature against its acceptance criteria, and those focus on validating the new feature satisfies the user need. Like as I told you, in sequential we have only product available at the end, and testing is only possible at that time. So in sequential development life cycle, you can have, if you are done with the product, you will do acceptance testing, and then you add some third party feature, you will again do acceptance testing. But in iterative development, we know that iterative, you can say agile, during that development you deliver your features one by one. Like maybe during each iteration you are releasing some product, you are releasing some feature. So that time you need acceptance testing each time for each iteration from the customer. In addition, alpha test and beta test may occur either at the end of each iteration, after the completion of each iteration, or after a series of iterations. Like it is quite possible for each iteration you are doing acceptance testing, you are doing alpha testing, beta testing, or maybe it's all up to you how you have planned with your customer. Like you have promised him that after 4 iterations or after 4 features we will do acceptance testing, alpha testing, beta testing, or maybe you have promised with him you will do all this testing after each iteration. So it's totally different. User acceptance test, operational acceptance test, regularity acceptance test, and contractual acceptance test also may occur either at the close of each iteration, after the completion of each iteration, or after a series of iterations. So in iterative development model, this acceptance testing could be performed multiple times. after each iteration, a series of iterations or whatsoever. But in sequential development, it is performed normally acceptance testing of a code like third-party software. If you are integrating it, you need to show at that time as well. And if a new function is added, so you have to again get the acceptance testing, because in sequential development we develop the features and we generate the product only once. So if you are again introducing a new feature, you again need an acceptance testing. In case of our iterative development, you are continuously developing the features, so each time you need, for each iteration or series of iterations, you need acceptance testing. So friends, this was everything for topic 2.2, which was a very big topic related to the test levels. Now we will come to the test types, which is topic 2.3. So in the next video we will see you with the topic test types. Until then, take care, happy learning.